Hey, friends, welcome back to the Called to Lead podcast. I am super excited to dive into a brand new series with you where we are going to be tackling the biggest things that might be holding you back from growth in your business. And so I'm going to be sharing at least three different things over the next few weeks with you, maybe with a couple of surprises built in there as well. But today, I want to unpack one of the biggest things that might be holding you back from growth right now in this crazy season in our world, and that is your mindset around money. So, you guys know I don't like to shy away from talking about building a profitable business. But if you're not quite there yet, we're going to talk through some of the reasons why you might not be seeing the kind of growth that will get you there in your business. All right, friends. So, I want to start this episode just doing a quick check in. How are you doing over there? Like, truly, how are you doing personally? How's your family right now? I don't know when you're listening to this message, but if you're listening to it in let's see, it's mid October of 2025, it's a bit of a crazy world out there right now. There's so much uncertainty with our government being shut down, all of the crazy things that happen with the Charlie Kirk tragedy, the division, and the confusion, everything that's going on in our country right now, I know has got everyone just kind of in this really weird place. Like, are we going to have a recession? What does this look like? And if you are a mama like me of littles, you also know that the school season is nuts too, between sports and all the school projects and things. Even if you're a homeschool mama, I know this season can be a little crazy, and we're getting ready for it to get even crazier as we head into the holidays. So I just want to check in with you and just see how you are. I just read an article that Brene Brown, who I'm sure you guys know, she's brilliant in the space, but she's like, people are not okay right now. They just aren't. And we need to recognize and we need to empathize with that. And so I want you to know that, and she said anybody that's in leadership can tell you that they feel it. And I want you to know I feel it and I see it too. And so I just want you to pause, take a deep breath, and think, where are you right now in this season of your life? And specifically, how is that impacting the growth that you want or desire in your business, whether or not you are a part of Restore? And just take a minute, just think about that and know that you're not alone. I think right now this time is just really crazy and it's impacting people in a lot of different ways. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to allow this uncertainty or this craziness or the fear of what could happen, in life or in our government or any of those things to impact what's possible for you in your life and business, because it truly is in these seasons of adversity and uncertainty, and even in some of the toughest times financially, that people rise from that and they can, number one, be a light to point back to the source of who's providing any of the goodness that is there too. If you take a look around, there's so much goodness and light right around you. But all of that is coming from a source that can and will supply you with what you need for your business if you allow him to. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about, I know is kind of a sensitive subject right now in this crazy economic uncertainty, possible recession, whatever you want to call it, and that's money. And specifically, your mindset around money and whether or not that might be holding you back from growth in your business. And so we're going to dive in and unpack a few different areas where it might be holding you back. And again, some of them may or may not apply to you, but I know most of them I have experienced personally at some point in my business, and they did hold me back in one way or another. So I feel it's important to kind of address some of these head on in case they're holding you back from growth and momentum and all of the good things that the Lord can and does have in store for you, despite all the chaos and uncertainty that's all around us right now. So, when it comes to money mindset, one of the things that I see people tend to do, especially in these times of uncertainty, or especially if you yourself are struggling with your family's budget, is mentally putting everybody else around you on that same budget. Meaning, maybe you're like me, where when I first started my business, I couldn't afford to buy one of the bigger kits. I had to go with the smallest one because that's what I could afford. Same thing when I purchased the makeup, because I was a business owner that was paying myself last, and I was starting my business to try to fill that income gap, there wasn't a lot for me to go around. And so I was on a budget. But then what I found out is for the first probably year, maybe even year and a half of my business, I was putting everybody else on that same mental budget of saying, like, oh, well, maybe they can't spend more than $100 to get started in their business. But in that same time, I was experiencing that a lot of my customers were coming back, and I was determining that what I was sharing with them wasn't necessarily the best value to get the desired result in their business. And it wasn't until I actually attended a training for a gal that was on my team and learn the power of, first of all, cross-selling and breaking down the different options for your customers in a way that allows them to decide what's the best value for their life, for their family, for their budget. And then you present them with, their options and you let them choose. Whereas I think what's happening right now is because people are on a budget, and again, some people are and some people aren't. I've been hearing stories of like little small town, sweet church ladies staying after church and, getting the all the things bundle, which is like over $400 for our our starting, price point for, for what we recommend with Restore. And, I just looked at actually our sales for the last week, and that all the things bundle is one of our best sellers, which means there are people who are spending like $400 to get started in their makeup and skincare with Restore, which is very exciting. And it may or may not be more than what someone can afford. And hopefully they're not spending more than they can afford. And we'll get there in a second. But if you are, for example, not sharing at all, thinking that people aren't buying or spending or investing in the season in themselves, that's not true, because not everybody is on as much of a budget. I think everybody's feeling it and everybody's being impacted. I know, oh my goodness, my 12-year-old, we stopped with her and a friend at Zaxby's the other day, and it was like $60 for the three of us. And I was like, what just happened? How is fast food now $60 for two kids and, and an adult? But what was hilarious is my 12-year-old was like, oh, that's not bad. It would have been more than that if we were at Starbucks. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's all a matter of perspective, right? And what's funny is Mary, my 12-year-old, actually is a saver, and she probably, again, is not as much on a budget, which is hilarious. So she probably has more in her savings account even than the average American right now. But it's because she makes wise choices, which again, we'll get to in a minute. So again, not everyone is going to have that same perspective or that same budget that maybe you have, that I certainly had. And what I found that by shifting in that season of realization that, wait, maybe the best value truly is, for example, for us, our recommended value is the curated glow capsule and the brush, which is just, short of $200. It's $198. And while that's not a small investment to start your makeup journey, it's an incredible value, because when they go to reorder, they're only going to have to invest the $14 to $18 on those refills. And so it actually winds up being like drugstore prices, when it's down the road, plus the time and mental headspace that they're getting back, the confidence that they are building by having an all-in-one system that helps, make getting ready super simple for them. The value that they're getting from that is certainly there. So I don't want you guys to think about the cost or the price point, whether it's Restore or not, of what you think people can afford, and think more instead of what's the best value, and then how can you present that value and possibly some options, and then let your customer decide. And if they come back to you and they say, hey, I don't have $200 to spend right now, or that's more than what I was considering. And actually, this happened at a BLE the other day. She literally, I had someone, a Beauty Lab experience, in case you're not familiar, BLE. She said, oh, I want all the things. And so we said, great. And so we, got it in her cart, and it was $430, whatever it was. And she's like, oh no, I can't spend that much. And I was like, okay, you don't need to. I was like, that's literally getting all the things. What's a more comfortable amount? And she's like, probably around 200. And I was like, okay, let's start here. And we kind of, dialed it back, and we got her, to a more comfortable level for her budget. And even if it's that $200 mark, that's a little high. So maybe you have someone that takes a color science quiz and they seem excited. They send you their results, but you don't see the order come through. Certainly follow up with them. And you can even ask them the direct questions of, like, how can I help? Or what are you thinking? And if they come back and say, it's just out of my price point, what's cool is we actually just launched what we call the Glow Capsule Essentials, which is a smaller opening price point that in reality probably isn't as great of a value as the full shebang, because it doesn't come with the brush. It's basically the top section of the Glow Capsule but it's a great starting price point for someone who is in fact on a budget. And so we hear you and we hope that this can be a really good option for those who truly are on a budget, which is a lot of people in this season. And we're already working towards some new things, new fun things in the process to meet that sweet spot of that entry level price point because we hear ya. Times are hard. But what I can tell you is people are buying all the things. And I don't want you holding yourself back, from sharing it all, thinking that no one's buying anything in this season or that no one can afford the products. And instead, I want you to focus on the value that whatever your product is that you are sharing brings to your person. Share that value, share the options. What I learned from that at that training was she would break down the makeup, she'd break down the skincare, and she'd break down the accessories, and she would show these accessories you're not going to have to buy again. The skincare, you're going to have for this amount of time. This guy, you're going to reorder every, 3 months or so. And then allow the customer to make that decision without you being the one to mentally put them on a budget, even if you're on a budget yourselves. So don't let that be one of the biggest things that holds you back. The second thing that can hold you back when it comes to your money mindset is not believing that it's possible for you to make a great income with this business model or any business model. Or maybe you have heard the scripture, money is the root of all evil. Well, it's actually the love of money is the root of all evil. So if you've got a mental block around what's possible for you from an income perspective, sometimes you can actually self-sabotage by overspending. And so again, the way that this can self-sabotage growth in your business can happen a couple ways. Overspending can look like you just ordering way too many things on Amazon that are outside of your budget, or instead of actually posting on Instagram, you're scrolling, getting lost in the scroll and starting to buy things rather than selling the things that you love and are sharing about. But also it can apply to investing more in your business than you're making in your business. And I sometimes see this happen. And I think that's one of the reasons the industry gets a bad rap around certainly things like inventory, which I'm so glad we do not have here at Restore Collective. But also when like large kits count towards volume and then the uplines or mentors are incentivized to have you purchase it. We don't want you to do that here at Restore. We do and are developing and launching actually a couple of days after this podcast goes up, some business edit bundles that are designed to equip you at a discounted, non-commissionable rate to be able to grow the business tools that will help you grow in your business. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to self-sabotage by spending more than you're making. That's another reason why we have the product credit built into our comp plan, is so that you can start to chip away at building up your kit in order to grow your business. So an example of this is I actually had a call this morning with someone who's going to enroll as an advocate, and she is a color science and image consultant expert. And we talked through her options. I followed exactly what I told you guys. I did not put her mentally on a budget. I did present, what is also coming out in a couple of days, which is our Filled Pro capsule. And I said, there's two ways that you can do it. This would be perfect for you as a color season, doing in-person options. This would give you everything you need, and you can order it as a customer and advocate and make commissions on it. Or you can order it with all of these other bundles that will help support your in business and not make commissions or volume on it, but you can get it at a discounted rate. But then what I showed her on that same page were the other options that were smaller options. And what she said to me is so wise, which is why I think she's going to do really well here. She said, I've already invested a lot in my color science analysis tools and resources, that what I'd like to do is go the free advocate program so that I can start for free and start right away and start integrating my loyalty link in all of my virtual communications. And then I'll purchase the makeup for myself because she had tried it and loved it. And then I'll work my way up during my 3-month free advocate trial period towards being a runner, because we do call them walker, jogger, runner. And she could see that and she loved that, and just really resonated with the idea that she'd love to build up to being a runner, but the financial investment right now of dropping $800 was more than what she could afford, and she made that wise decision. No, I did not make that decision for her. She made the decision, going back to point one. But this is a wise way to run, grow, and scale your business, and that's the heart of Restore. So the second way that you can hurt the growth of your business is by self-sabotaging, by overspending which is tied to the belief almost always that you're not enough to make what you want to make in this business. So that's the second reason. And the final reason is that, and this is kind of similar, like if your mindset is that it's not possible for you to make an income, you might kind of be putting yourself, like self-sabotaging. You've got that limit set for yourself. But what I often see is people assume everybody who joins this business wants to be a bajillionaire or wants to make six figures. And maybe that is your goal. And maybe you do have big goals and you've done it before and you believe you can do it and you know you can do it. But not everybody wants to do that. Most people, especially in this season and this tough economy, are just trying to fill their income gap. And that is the coolest part about this business plan is especially this time of year, people are buying presents for people. They're buying things for themselves while they're shopping for presents. And we have a lot of really great giftable stuff that are fantastic options for your customers that are out there. And so remember that this season, especially if times are tough, is a great opportunity to, I'm not saying capitalize on someone's financial needs, but if there's a problem where they need to fill that income gap, this business model, and especially the way that our compensation plan is set up to be focused on profitability, and if you follow these other processes that we've even talked about around making wise investments, someone can get started in their business for free and start making money right away. And so don't assume everyone wants to be a millionaire in this business. Is it possible for anyone? Sure. Is it likely that it's going to happen for everyone? No. It's a small few who get to that point. But anyone who sets their mind to it and starts by focusing, say, on our momentum incentive, that's $1,000 in sales in the first 5 customers, not only are they going to get that product credit that's going to help build up their kit and start their business in a solid foundation, but they're going to make the cash at least $200, if not $300 or $350 or more, depending on when and how they sell it and if they're a partner and advocate. And so that's putting hundreds of dollars in their pocket just by finding 5 customers. And so that's where it starts for everyone, regardless of what the goals are. Don't assume everybody is looking to be a bajillionaire, but do help show them how this can be a blessing to their family, even outside of the financial side of it, but it is designed to be a business to help them grow. So I hope this has been helpful for you to really kind of take a moment and pause and think, first of all, are you seeing growth in your business? Second of all, if you're not, could it be related to your money mindset that might be holding you back from growth in your business? So stay tuned until next week and the week after, maybe with a little fun update in between where I'm going to be breaking down the 2 additional areas that might be holding you back from growth in your business. I want to do a shout out to somebody in Restore who's doing something really special. So this week's Restore Rockstar shout out is Becky Miller. So you guys, Becky just had Mohs surgery like me. She had it actually, I think, on her face, on a large part of her face. And if you've never heard of Mohs surgery, it's really not fun. It's basically they remove a cancerous mole and then they keep removing until they make sure they've gotten all of it. Not a fun procedure. I had to have it a couple years ago on my nose. And our renewal products have absolutely helped that scar heal to where you can see it if you look close enough, but it's faded pretty well. And I just want to shout out to Becky because not only did she put a picture, I think it might have even been a video, out on Facebook and Instagram that bared her face even right after the surgery in order to share her routine in using our renewal products, doing it, but she did it in a way that even my own mom saw it, which was really, really great. So I just want to commend you, Becky, for being bold enough and humble enough to put yourself out there in that kind of way. Because if there are women like me out there who are struggling with a healing scar, especially if it's on your face, whether it's from Mohs surgery or not, or struggling with something like skin cancer, it's so refreshing to be able to see women just like you putting themselves out there saying, you know what, it happened to me too. Here's what I'm doing to make it better. And so, Becky, you are awesome. Keep crushing it, girl. And just know we see you and you're amazing. And I'm so excited for you. All right. So let's wrap us up with prayer. Lord, thank you so much just for the wisdom of the mistakes that I've made, specifically around the money mindsets that have held me back in my business. and just for the opportunity to share that with those that are listening, whether or not they are in this kind of crazy, weird, murky season in our economy, or whether they're listening to this in your own timing. Just I pray that this message has hit them right where they need it to be, and that they can receive it in a way that can bless their business and that can serve them and serve others when they overcome these mindsets and in the way that I have. And we know that when we go through these hard things, it's to be able to serve other people. And so just help them see that and help them know that if they are struggling this season, that they're not alone, that you, first of all, are with them, but that others are walking alongside them in this journey, and that we still have the opportunity to let you show up and show out if we don't limit you or don't limit ourselves. And we trust that you are for us, that you are our provider, and that everybody's got different circumstances and different perspectives, and just to follow the systems and the structure and the inspiration that you give to each one of us to not be afraid, and to not put people mentally on a budget, and to not hold ourselves back from what's possible by not being a good steward of whether it be our business investments or life investments. And so just thank you for these principles that you so clearly outline in your word. And thank you for those that are listening, and just be with everybody as we navigate this crazy season. And we love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, I hope y'all have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week. Yay!